So this one I'm going to talk about the empirical rule. So when we're talking about empirical rule, we always representing to the normal distribution. And since we're talking about the normal distribution, we're going to using the mean and the standard deviation. Using the sample symbols x bar and s. So when we're talking about empirical rule, what we're talking about is if I have a normal curve, a bell curve, nice and symmetric, then in the middle is going to be the mean, then from the mean I can say that if I'm just going to counting how many standard deviations the data is away from the mean, I can say if it's only one standard deviation away, either above or below the mean, we're going to say 68% of the data is going to be fall into this range. So majority of the data is going to be fall into this it's going to fall into this range. Then if I go a little bit further away from the mean, I can say 95% of the data, that is almost everything, is going to be fall within two standard deviation, either below or above the mean. Then if I go 3 standard deviations, then I'm able to cover almost every data, which is 99.7%. Then that means if I'm going to break down the percentage into each regions here, then within the one standard deviation, if it's below the mean, we have 34% of the data. Above the mean is also 34% because it's symmetric. Then on the other two sides, it's going to be 13.5%. I simply use 95% minus 68%. That will give me these regions. I didn't highlight the graph because I do not want to mess up, but this is the corresponding regions. Then I'm going to divide by 2. To finally get 13.5%. Same thing, I can find the this tiny portions on each side is going to be 2.35%. I do the same thing, 99.7% minus 95% divided by 2. Then whatever is remaining that's outside, the portion is going to be 0.15%. Then if you're going to add up everything, you should have 100%. That is covering all the data. Normally speaking, when we're talking about what is normal or not normal, we're normally referring to those two. So within 2 standard deviations, we can consider those are normal. Then if it's away 2 standard deviation below or away 2 standard deviation below or above the mean is going to be considered not that usual, but it's not an outlier depending on the data, where the data exactly located. Okay, so that is the empirical rule, and those are the percentage. You're going to remember it. You are going to use them very often at the earlier sections, like chapter 4, chapter 5, chapter 6. Before we actually going to go talk a little bit more weird locations. So right now we're just talking about 1 standard deviations, 2 standard deviations, or 3 standard deviations. I'm missing the 3 standard deviations.